There was no need for this destruction because the council had bowed to local pressure and was quite prepared to go round the tree. So, to that extent, it was no longer a problem to them. But the fact that the old tree was still standing was a challenge to the young manhood of the area, and many a local lad was tempted to have a go at cutting it down out of sheer bravado. One who did try to fell it but failed was Philip Deary.
Well, I was in Liam Doherty's public house one night, and I left it around 10:30, and I walked up the town and I went into Josie Cairns, and I selected 3 records, and
Off a jukebox?
Off a jukebox. And while waiting to select another one, a bloke came in and walked over and stood right behind me. And he said to me, "Philip, you wouldn't cut the fairy 3. Or Roy Green wouldn't cut the fairy 3. So I listened for somewhat 10 to 15 minutes, and after that I turned round and I said, "Would you cut the fairy 3 yourself?" So this bloke said he would. So there and then, on the spot, I said, "Right, lads, we'll go out and we'll have a go at cutting the fairy 3.
There was a whole crowd of you by this time?
There was 20 to 30 in the gang. So once we got outside the door and headed down the street, this bloke got cold feet and said he wouldn't cut it. So I said, "Right, lads, come on, we'll go out anyway and I'll cut it." So we walked a distance of 2 mile, 2 mile and a half, and eventually we come to the fairy 3. I was forced into the field and took the saw, and after approximately 5 minutes sawing, the blade broke. So I said to the lads, "If you wait till I come back, I'll go and try and get a chainsaw to cut it." So I arrived over at my employer's house and I asked him for a loan of the chainsaw, which Roy answered by telling me that his chainsaw was broke down.
And Roy himself, of course, wouldn't have cut the tree.
Roy wouldn't cut the tree, and he advised me for to leave the fairy 3 as it wasn't in my road or wasn't giving me any inconvenience. So on Roy's advice, I left the bush and went home.
But you'd had a go anyway at cutting the tree
Yes.
down? More or less for a dare?
Yes.
Did you believe in the fairy tree?
No.
Would you believe in it now?
I definitely don't believe in fairies or any of that.
But a lot of the people around here do, of course.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of them won't cut the tree down.
That's exactly right.
Well, were you glad when the blade broke and you didn't have to cut it down?
No, I wasn't.
Are you the man who's now cut it down now, in fact?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Because a lot of people might think that you were, you see, Phil.
Definitely not. And I have stated so. I have sent a statement to the Democrat.
The local paper?
To the local paper, stating definitely that I had no art or part in the cutting of the fairy 3.
Well, what do you think now of the fellows who did cut it down?
I think that they're cowards in one sense, because if they had have asked for permission from the county council, they would have got permission if the county council wanted it that way, if they wanted it cut. But as we know, the county council was going to make the road to both sides of the 3 and had already secured another piece of land for it to widen the road so that they could put a railing around the fairy 3 and leave it as a tourist attraction.
So really you think it's a shame that it's gone?
Definitely.
Even though you had to go at it yourself?
Yes. My having to go was more of a joke, or done on the spur of the moment, as a dare. It was done in a dare.
Just to show that you weren't scared?
Yes.
Do you think that these fellows that have done this now will have any bad luck because of it?
Well, it's hard to say. I don't know. I can't actually say. But for myself, I don't believe in such things.
No one really wanted the tree out of the way. Even the contractor, Roy Green, didn't want to take the axe to it.
Roy, last year when I talked to you, you yourself said that you wouldn't cut the tree down.
That's right.
And none of your men would cut the tree down.
That's right.
Well, who do you think has now cut it down?
A few of the local lads have taken on themselves to do this.
Why have they done it?
I'm not quite sure what the idea of it was. I think it was to create a bit of a nuisance justice.
Do you think that obviously they wouldn't have been as superstitious about it as some people would?
I don't think that can do it at all. I think they want to make themselves, what do we call it, better men than what is in the locality.
So they did it for the divilment of it?
More or less, yeah.
Well, what's the reaction now of people around here about it? How do they feel about it?
Nearly all the people are in bad humour about this.
What do you feel yourself about it?
It should have been left alone, definitely. It was a great attraction for tourists.
Did people actually come and look at it?
Hundreds. Definitely.
From all over?
From all over, Canada, America.
Have you seen people at the tree yourself?
Yes.
What's going to become of it now? Will somebody take it away and chop it up for firewood, do you think?
It's possible, yeah. Somebody will.
Would you burn it yourself?
No, I would not.
Why not?
Just one of the beliefs.
You'd rather not take the risk?
That's right.
Dan, you were saying that this fairy bush, this skeg bush, was part of a ring or a chain.
Yes,
What sort of a chain was it?
that was what they call the earth chain. It come right out into the know. You know what I mean?
How many trees would have been in it, would you reckon?
Maybe 12 or 14.
And was this in the middle of it, or was it in the end of it?
This was about in the middle.
So now somebody's broken the chain.
Somebody has cut the chain now and has let it all go loose.
Well, will this bring them any sort of luck, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I would have loved not to, I don't know. I saw one cut before below it, rooted. And I saw the man that rooted it. He carried a lump of kettle off there, nearly all about his house.
So he'd no luck himself?
No luck himself, and he's out of it now and a way long ago.
What do you think of a fella who would cut down that tree like that?
Oh, well, I don't know. Of course, times may be changed now for bars with them times. We don't know. It could be all right and it could be otherwise. We don't know till we see.
This is your own fairy tree, of course, Joe, in your own garden.
Yes.
Is there any tradition about this particular tree?
Well, no, I couldn't tell you much about it, and what I did tell you.
There was an occasion when somebody tore some of the branches
Yes.
off it. And what happened then?
Well, and before 12 months, we had 22 and 4, 26 head of cattle between horses, pigs and cows
Dead.
dead.
Possibly because somebody'd harmed the tree.
Well, seemingly that could be something in it.
You're not a man yourself who'd do any harm to that tree.
No, I would not take any money and interfere with it, indeed.
And would most of the people around here be of the same opinion
They
as
would.
yourself?
No one would care for about cutting it, taking a branch off it even.
Well, what about the fairy tree that they cut down then last week, down the road? What do you feel about that?
Well, I feel that it wasn't a great job altogether.
Do you think the fellas that did it will have any luck?
Well, you couldn't know that, but they'd been better than their bad anyway, I would say.
And the people around about would be unhappy about
There's
it?
no one now but would rather see it standing.
Because there was really no need to cut it down,
Not
was
at
there?
all. What need was? We were going to put the road right round it. Leave the tree there. And it'd be an attraction for generations.
The old tree wasn't harming anyone, but someone used an axe and a saw to chop it down. A sad end to a tree like this, because it did seem that local feelings had won a battle with modern bureaucracy. There are people hereabouts, however, who believe that although the tree has gone, perhaps the fairies have not, that they're lying in wait for the despoilers of their old home. We may yet hear more of the fairy tree of Ballintra. Good night.